Welcome to Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians, an interactive panel discussion. Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome back. This is Navigating Texas Workforce Commission for Musicians for February 5th, 2021. Joining me today are Russell and Mark. Thank you for being here, fellas. Yeah, we always start by just kind of running down the official websites. If you're just starting, and we just talked to some musicians the other day who were just starting with unemployment assistance. You want to start from the horse's mouth. With the best place to start is the TWC website. It'll have the most accurate information, the least hearsay, but it is kind of hard to find stuff on there, but that's the best place to start. twc.texas.gov. Their Facebook page also, Texas Workforce Commission, has updates. They do a press conference, I think, every other day with questions. And our local, the Local 433 Musicians Unemployment Information Sharing page, we kind of have highlights from that and other news sources for musicians. Our local union's COVID-19 resources page, which is afm433.com/COVID-19. It's kind of a short list of things for musicians in the Central Texas area. And we always list the Who Represents Me website for Texas that will let you know who represents you in the legislatures here in Texas and in the federal government, and I think even state school board and things like that. But that's been important because that's been a way that we can get some help sometimes with figuring these things out that don't always 100% fit. Sometimes the musicians are a square peg in a round hole, or the other way around. So, we always start with beverages. I'm doing coffee once again. How about you fellas?
Good old green tea.
Plain water.
So consistent. I just It's ever since May. I think we've had almost 100% consistency that way. I love it. Yeah. All right. Well, let's see. We usually also talk about news of the day. We had a little bit of technical stuff going on right before the broadcast, so the three of us didn't really get a chance to even warm up or mention anything that's been going on. But I think probably the biggest thing in the news is the stuff going on in the U.S. Senate with the new aid package. I think there was some progress overnight. They've decided to use the budget appropriation thing in the Senate to go through whether or not there's Republican support or not. Have you guys heard anything about that? What's going on?
There is such thing, and I just read on CNN's website that it does include another check of $1,400.
Yeah, I did hear a quote from Biden about that. He said that's what was promised, and that's to the people, to the American people, and that's what they're going to go with. And I can't really believe there's that much opposition to it from the actual voters. Who do you think is opposing that? Where's that opposition coming from?
Let me see.
Take a guess.
Yeah.
I don't.
It didn't include the minimum wage, $15 minimum wage thing.
Yeah, he did take
That,
that back.
that got lost in the shuffle.
So that probably happened overnight with the negotiations that were
Yeah.
happening. Yeah.
Well, Bernie Sanders is the chairman of that committee, and he kind of backpedaled a little bit. He said that yes, he's for the $15 an hour, but he wants 5 years to phase it in.
Yeah, and I think that was part of the current plan. You know, recently, yeah, he spoke on that yesterday, right? He gave his first speech as the chair of the budget committee, and it was pretty long. I watched all of it. I think it was like 25 minutes or something, which it's not really that long, but yeah, he talked about that a bit, and yeah, I hope that can get in there because I think that will lift everybody up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely. So. Yeah, so I think where they're at now is they have to get the identical bill passed in the House, and then it has to go back to the Senate or something like that.
Right.
And yeah, so may see some more news today. I don't know. Yeah. Um, as far as local news, I haven't seen much as far as the local Texas news and unemployment, other than the system still adjusting. We heard from our friend Daisy last week, and her account eventually got adjusted automatically, like similar to what happened with you, Mark, I guess, right, where it just automatically kept going. And I think they're bracing for, another change to the system if this new stimulus, or when this new stimulus package goes through, there'll be another adjustment of how it works or how many weeks or something. There'll definitely be updates then. So. So count on kind of a slowdown again in the next few weeks after the stimulus gets passed.
Right.
Yeah. Has there been any indication of that yet with your service, Mark? Any slowdowns yet?
Nope.
That's
no.
good.
I mean, my day to file is Sunday, so I guess I'll know more then. But I haven't had any problems at all filing or anything. So.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a good point though. Yeah, we're talking about a 2-week process for every increment. So it's tough to say when the slowdown starts or stops or anything. Yeah, it's a slow turtle-like process, but yeah. All right. Well, I wanted to the thing I wanted to talk about this week is we did have one. We had the committee helped out one member or one musician. A couple days ago, and it was me and Jonathan from the committee. We haven't seen Jonathan on the show in a while, but thanks for your work, Jonathan. And I won't mention obviously who the musician was, but it was a musician who had what they had been receiving unemployment last summer, and then they got a job in the fall. They got like a temp job type of thing that went for several months, and now they're trying to get back on unemployment. And so I think that's going pretty well, although we're waiting for an update. Obviously you don't really smile and start partying until somebody actually gets paid, right?
Right.
Yeah. But that process is going. But what we talked about in meeting with this musician was about how you can keep filing the payment requests even if you are working, right? You can continue to stay in the system so that when you do have a dip in income suddenly, then you can get benefits faster. You just have to keep making those 2-week. Every 2 weeks you have to make the payment request, and part of that is reporting your income accurately, and yeah. So there's a couple things about that, and it doesn't mean that you can, or it doesn't mean that you have to fall off of unemployment benefits if you start working. You can keep going. And it's especially important for us to know as musicians, because we get this little tiny scraps of work, and we're adding them all up all the time. So if you do one gig, it doesn't mean you're going to get kicked off of unemployment. It might mean if it's a good enough gig, it might mean maybe you don't qualify for benefits that week, but you can probably qualify the next week because a lot of our gigs are just one time, right? Just one engagement, and then you're back to where you were.
All of our work is temporary.
In a lot of ways, yeah. Our brother Gil always says, you go to a gig to get a gig, though. So we're always trying to get that next gig on the gig, right?
Right.
When you got the band with you and you're like, hey, hire this band. Aren't you having fun? All right, let's do it. And, yeah, you're selling it all the time, right? So yes, indeed. So that's part of it. But yeah, I wanted to talk about. I'm not sure if you guys have experienced this yet, but the 25% thing is the kind of the threshold for your income in a couple different ways when you're on unemployment, when you're collecting unemployment. They don't start reducing your benefit until you make 25% of what your benefit is, right? So if your benefit's $200, 25% of that's $50, right? So you can make up to $50 before they start reducing your benefit, right? And then once it goes over $50, then they just reduce it by how much it goes over $50, right?
Right.
So what that means is if your benefit's $200, you can make up to $250 and still, $249 and still receive a benefit, right? And that's important. I mean, it's not important that, we don't have to do that math. All we have to do is report the income accurately, right? And honestly, but the reason that that's significant now is because we get that, just like we did in the summer, we get that federal unemployment put on top of the state unemployment, as long as we have $1 of state unemployment. So that's kind of the thing. When you're dealing with that threshold, say your benefit is $200 from the state, and then you're getting the $300 on top of it now. As you approach the reduction in that benefit, so you've made $230 and your benefit's only $20. That's okay, right? Then you still get the federal unemployment on top of it, the $300 on top of it. But once you hit that 249.50, 250, then bam, that federal unemployment goes away too, but just for that week. But that can be, that can hurt in economic times like these. So I just wanted to talk about that. Have you guys heard from anybody that's had that happen? I've heard from a couple people, but
I haven't run across anybody with that.
yeah, there's just
you mean people that have lost their week's benefit because they reported income?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done that.
Yeah.
Several times I reported income and it was for that week larger than $250, so I lost my whole payment for that week.
Yeah, and that can seem like a lot when that federal is piled on top of you. Like, oh, I lost like $500,
Right.
But the good thing is that week doesn't go away; it gets tacked on to the end.
To the end, yeah. So you get another week, yeah.
Yeah, and you have more support. But yeah, it's a tough time. It really
And
is.
also remember that at least as I understand it, for gig work, you're reporting the money in the week that you actually received the money, not in the week that you actually did the gig. Right? Because at least that's the way I read what TWC said. So in other words, if you work on February 5th, but you don't get paid until February 17th for one reason or another, you're reporting that income in the week of February 17th.
Yeah, it's because with gig income or self-employed income, like you're your own employer. That's
Right.
the thing to keep in mind. So when you pay yourself, that's when you report the income.
That's when you report.
Yeah. If you're working for an employer, though, like if you're getting a W-2, which are a lot of our 1099 guys aren't doing, but if you're working for an employer, then you do have to report the work, or you do have to report the income for when the work is done, because that's when the employer is going to report it.
Right.
And that's where you can get into difficulties if your reporting doesn't match what the employer is doing. But when you're a gig worker, you are the employer. You're employing yourself. So Yeah, so it's when you paid it. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's a kind of a confusing concept. It's like what and especially if you have to like some of our W-2 brothers and sisters have to they have to get a check, and then sometimes they have to divide the check into 2 different weeks because of when the work was done. And yeah, because their gigs last longer, a lot of times, right? They're doing 5, 6 nights in a row. Remember those days, man? Man, but yeah,
Residents.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's something too. Absolutely, yeah. But the I guess the overarching thing though is like, yeah, even if that happens for 1 week, that doesn't mean you're kicked off unemployment. That just means you didn't get it for that week, and you can still request the next period, the next 2 weeks, and receive benefits again. So uh,
As long as you stay in the system, you're good.
that's it. That's it.
Don't try to game them because they will find out.
That's right. Yeah, yeah. That's what I mean. Honestly, you're honestly doing your best to report according to the rules, which don't always, like we said, don't always 100% apply to our business. So we're doing our best. Yeah. Yeah, we have had a few people, get in that situation where the employer reporting and their reporting didn't match. I was in that situation as well, and they got the dreaded repayment notice because they did. TWC, then decided 4 months later or something that they didn't qualify for the same amount of benefits as they thought at the time. So then you have to pay back. We have several musicians in that situation, and the prevailing wisdom seems to be to definitely do the appeal to make sure it's right, but that takes time, and sometimes the repayment invoices overlap the
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 appeal.
appeal yeah,
Right.
notices and everything, but if you have an appeal in process, don't start paying it back until you have a chance to make sure it's right with the appeal process. So
So there's one thing I was a little confused about. When the latest round of money came through federally, that extended our weekly thing 10 weeks, right?
mm-hmm.
So, but is that all? I mean, obviously, I'm assuming that's extending the state unemployment as well,
Yes,
right? So, in
yeah,
other words, way back in March or April or whenever we signed up, we were told that we were getting, I thought it was 39 weeks, if I remembered right.
mm-hmm.
And if that's run out, what does that mean for those of us who are getting both state and federal?
If the
So in
39
other words,
weeks, yeah,
but we have another 10 weeks, but that 10 weeks I'm assuming is for both, right?
yes, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, and I think I
Okay.
can't remember if it was 10 or 11 weeks, but yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like
That
that.
takes
Yeah.
it to, yeah, like March or something like that. Yeah,
Middle March, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's the new stimulus they're talking about. Last I heard, it was going to extend to September or something like that.
September. Yeah.
And there was sort of a push from the right to move it back to June or something, and so that I don't know if that got amended during the night this past night or not. But yeah, so there's definitely going to be some sort of extension for that, I believe.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, but that's what happened with our folks that were running out of weeks in December. If they
Right.
if they got their weeks backdated to March 12th or whatever, then their weeks started running out about mid-December. Some of them the second week in September, and then some people went all the way up to December 26th, right? Um, but that appears to have gotten extended, right? Did that happen to you, Mark? Did you run out on the 26th and then it got extended? Or?
Yeah. So I never actually missed a week because
Okay.
I ran out on the 26th and my filing day was happily such that I never missed a week's payment.
Man, good
Yeah.
timing
I mean,
as always.
the payment went down, to 200 a week or so because I didn't, because the extra money hadn't kicked in yet, but I still got money every week.
So just like when you're playing, you always come in at the perfect place. Just
My timing is impeccable.
impeccable.
Yep.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. Man, very cool. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Let's see. There are two references to what we're talking about as far as like working while you're on unemployment benefits on the TWC website, but they're kind of buried in these giant pages. One of them is the FAQ, the frequently asked questions page, and then there's another page. I think that's like information for employees or something, but it's buried way down the page. So I'm going to provide links, but I'm not sure if the link will be able to get you to the middle of the page or the top of the page. But it's definitely there. So I'll put those links in the show notes and so you can kind of know what we're talking about. The viewer. Yeah. So, but that's about all I've got to really discuss this week. Do you guys have any issues or news that has popped up? Heard from anybody?
Well, they did approve another hotel being purchased for the homeless. So now that's
right.
two.
That's right. Yeah, we talked about that a bit last week. Yeah.
Where is it? Do you know where it is?
They didn't say.
Huh.
Yeah, I saw an article about a person, who had gone through that program,
I saw that same one.
Yeah, did you see that? Yeah, who kind of was able to use that to get kind of get it together, and now has his own housing, and that was really nice to see. So the thing working. So yeah, that's locally here in Austin, Travis County. But excuse me. Yes, indeed. Well, yeah.
Well, there's opposition to it, but it just seems that they just overrode that and just we're doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a good thing. I mean, it makes a lot of sense because the hotels are not doing
They're
the
there.
business. That's why they're for sale to begin with.
Yeah.
And some people are seeing that as like a real estate grab by the city or something, which, I mean, it kind of is, but maybe that's the opportunity that's there. I don't know. But it's an interesting conversation for sure. They're also talking about the camping ban now, or reinstating the camping ban, right? Yeah, which
that's direct result of this other hotel being purchased.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So that could affect, the whole city as well. 'Cause we've got so much camping going on around town. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. It's a scary time, that's for sure, for a lot of folks. Yes, indeed. What about, you hear anything about the vaccines? About to get vaccines yet? I haven't gotten mine yet.
No.
I'm about to get my second shot on Monday.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I just lucked out. I mean, it was just, I got a text from a friend who said, go to this Walgreens site and sign up, and I did, and within 2 minutes I had an appointment.
Wow.
So it was amazing. I mean, because I signed up for all the other sites, the APH, Austin Public Health, and the UT one, and the blah blah blah, and none of those have come through. But I don't need them anymore because now I have my second shot scheduled already at Walgreens. So
that was my question: is it scheduled? The appointment scheduled for the second shot?
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, that's Monday. Yeah.
Wow.
Congrats.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah.
I know. I'm good until you need the booster, right?
Well,
until you need a booster vaccine because the variant hits.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not. It's certainly cause for celebration, but it's not. It's not the be all and end all.
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So a quick question, Mark. How do you feel?
I felt fine. When I got the first shot, it was like a flu shot. My shoulder was a little sore, but I didn't get any symptoms at all. None. Which some other people that I've talked to who have gotten that first shot did feel some symptoms, like for a day or two. They felt kind of sick. They felt sore and a little queasy, but I didn't. So.
Cool.
Yeah, maybe the second one will be different. I have also heard that people who have gotten both shots have found that the second shot is a little more impactful, to how they're feeling. So,
yeah, I've heard
but
that
then they
too.
say within, 2 weeks or so after you've had your second shot, you have reached the immunity level that you're going to reach.
So do you know which one you got? What it was it the
I got the Moderna
Okay.
one. Yeah. And it was at the Walgreens in Bastrop. And that was, again, just totally by chance that I managed to get on the website and with the instructions that I shouldn't bother to look in Austin because there were no vaccines available in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked in Bastrop and there were still. So,
Wow.
yeah, I mean, I've been hearing, through my neighborhood listserv and other people that I talk to, that the vaccines are coming online here more quickly every week.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you qualify, you probably should be able to find a vaccine within the next 2 or 3 weeks or a month, I would think.
Mm-hmm. I did hear, I saw something posted about the VA places, distribution centers in the area. I think they're down to like veterans 75 and over or something, like 75 years and older
Right.
can get it now, but they're lowering that as they get more, I guess. And
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah. And, I mean, check with the HEB because HEB, various different HEBs in Central Texas will or will not have the vaccine. So, I mean, it's a little time consuming, but if you go through every one, you may find one that has it where you can sign up.
That's a good point. A lot of people forget that HEB is also a
The
pharmacy.
pharmacist. Yeah.
Exactly.
And they
A
do,
big chain.
based on their great responses to the hurricanes and all the other disasters. I mean, they do have a really solid distribution chain throughout the state.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a really good thing, man. I don't know if y'all saw. I won't mention who it is, but there was a musician that posted, I think, on Facebook the other day that they were able to go somewhere out by Bryan or something, and they volunteered at a vaccine location, like in the directing traffic or something in the parking lot, and at the end of the day, because they had volunteered, they were able to get the shot. So that's a pretty interesting thing, yeah, some sort of a volunteer trade-off type of thing. But I think they had to travel a little ways out of town to do it, but maybe that's available somewhere closer too. I'm not sure.
There was also a thing that I read, and I hope this might be just in the hearsay department, but some veterinarians are going to be offering the vaccine to people.
Mm-hmm. Because they have the qualifications to be able to
Yeah, you bring
administer
your
it,
animal, and then
But they have,
get
it's a
shot
great
up.
big needle though.
Oh yeah.
right? You got to use the horse needle, yeah. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, all right. So if there's nothing else, I'll wrap it up. Yeah. Thank you guys for joining us again here.
Yep. Thank you.
Russell and Mark, this is great as always. Just to kind of collect information, and it helps us feel less isolated during this time when we would normally be playing music with each other, which would be wonderful. I can't wait till that happens again. But if you're watching this and you're in the music business, don't give up. We can get through this with solidarity and sharing information, and it's important that we do because our country needs us to play music. Our society, really the whole world, needs American music to come back and to come back strong. So we need you. We love you, and we'll see you next week on this program Friday at 1. And we'll see you then. Bye bye.
Business and music continues.
Yes,
And
it
be
does.
safe. Be safe,
safe.
everybody.